My name is Vivienne Hale, and I'm 34 years old. If you saw me today, walking through the streets of the city under a heavy winter sky, coat wrapped tightly around me, eyes cold and unwavering, you'd never guess that just a year ago, I had been nothing more than a shadow in a world that once promised me everything. That world? It was built on lies, luxury, and a man I once trusted with my heart. And now, it lies in ashes. A year ago, I was engaged to Tristan Whitmore, heir to one of the largest financial empires in the country. From the outside, it looked like a perfect union: wealth, influence, and love neatly packaged. But behind the grandeur of ballrooms and candlelight dinners, I had glimpsed a darker truth. Tristan's ambition was a predator in disguise. Our engagement, our love, everything. It had been a calculation, a game where I was merely the piece to be sacrificed for profit and power. When I discovered that he had orchestrated the collapse of my family's investments to strengthen his empire, I had no choice but to walk away. And so I vanished. The months that followed were bitter. I lived under assumed names, moving from city to city, working odd jobs, scraping together a life from nothing. I learned to live in shadows, to survive without the comfort and safety of wealth, but also without the naivety of love untested. Each day hardened me. Each struggle sharpened the resolve that had been buried under my broken heart. But survival was not enough. I had promised myself something far greater than revenge in the heat of emotion. I promised justice, subtle and inescapable. For months, I observed, learning Tristan's patterns, understanding the machinery of his empire that had once blinded me with opulence. I was no longer the woman who trembled at his charm. I was a force waiting to reclaim what was taken from me. My first step back into his world was unrecognizable. Under the guise of Vivienne Hale, a consultant from a distant investment firm, I infiltrated the very corporation Tristan had built. My intelligence, my strategic insight, and my unassuming demeanor allowed me to maneuver through board meetings, finance projections, and social events unnoticed. They laughed at me behind polished glass doors, unaware that I was the architect of their eventual reckoning. It was at a charity gala, ostensibly a celebration of Tristan's latest acquisition, that I first saw him in months. The man who once held my heart with promises now stood with the arrogance of a king in his court. His eyes met mine for a fleeting second, and I saw recognition flicker, quickly masked by pride. He had no idea the storm coming for him was already inside his walls. Months of calculated moves followed. I diverted investments, quietly acquiring key shares of his empire through shadow companies. I befriended his executives, sowed seeds of doubt, exposed vulnerabilities, and watched as his network of power began to crumble, piece by piece. Every decision I made was surgical, precise, leaving no trace back to me. And yet every outcome served to dismantle the empire he had built on deceit and betrayal. Then came the final act. Tristan's pride had always been his weakness. At a pivotal board meeting, I presented a proposal, one that seemed innocuous, beneficial even, but carried within it the key to my revenge. As the directors approved, the company's structure shifted overnight. Assets disappeared, stock value plummeted, and for the first time, Tristan Whitmore felt the cold reality of failure. His empire, the symbol of his power over me and the world, was being stripped from him by the very woman he had once underestimated. I revealed myself at the end, not with fury, not with malice, but with the calm certainty of someone who had watched justice unfold like a slow, beautiful snow. "Do you recognize me?" I asked, my voice steady. "Vivienne Hale, or perhaps you remember me as the woman you betrayed, the woman you thought you could break." The shock in his eyes was poetic. All the arrogance drained, replaced with disbelief, and then a dawning realization. He had been undone not by rivals or legal maneuvers, but by the one life he had underestimated, the one life he had destroyed. The media, ever eager for a scandal, picked up the story within hours. Headlines praised the anonymous strategist who brought Whitmore's empire to its knees. No one suspected it was I, Vivienne Hale, once a naive fiancée, now the orchestrator of poetic justice. And yet the victory was bittersweet. As I watched Tristan's empire crumble, I felt a hollow echo within myself. Revenge had been intoxicating. The satisfaction of seeing justice served undeniable. But the emptiness of lost trust, the years of my own life spent in exile, the severed relationships, it weighed heavily. I had rebuilt my life, yes, but at a cost only I understood. In the winter of his downfall, I walked away, not to claim his fortune, not to gloat, but to reclaim myself fully. Justice had been done, and yet in the reflection of snow and shattered glass, I understood that sometimes the cost of revenge is measured in what we lose of ourselves along the way. I had conquered the man who betrayed me, but I had also witnessed the fragility of trust and the depth of my own scars. And so, I walk on, winter lingering in the streets, in my heart, and in the echo of the empire I toppled. Vivienne Hale remains, stronger, wiser, and unbound, but also marked forever by the love that turned to ashes, the promise broken, and the winter he deserved. The end. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share this video. Comment below which story you want to hear next. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.